All right, folks, we're back, and this is not a full-fledged episode. No, the Yankees decided to make a trade, Gary, right after they swept the Astros, and we're not even going to talk about that because we will get into that in our next video, which you will probably see after this. You're going to see this first. Jake Cousins, cousin of Kirk Cousins, is headed to the Yankees, Gary. Cash considerations going over to the White Sox. Get the meme out there with the dude with the bling, cash considerations. Whoever that is, right? It means nothing, right? So you essentially get this guy who is 29 years old, Gary. You're going to have a lot of years of control with him because he only has 1 year of service time. And you could add him to a laundry list of guys that Cashman has acquired since November. Clayton Andrews, JT Brubaker, Nick Birdie, shout out to him, got the win today. Caleb Ferguson, Cody Morris, Cody Poteet, Jake Cousins, Victor Gonzalez. Cash is on a rampage going after these fresh arms. And by the way, before I send it over to you, this is how you win baseball games. This is how you build a dominant bullpen that can help you in any situation. You go out and you find guys. Someone else's trash is another person's treasure. The great thing about Jake Cousins is I don't think he's trash, Gary. I don't think he's even close to that. When I saw his strikeout numbers, and you said it off air, you're like, oh my God. Jake Cousins is not a bad pitcher. He's produced in the major leagues, and he's got one more option remaining, gives him flexibility to send him down. They are going to have to make room for him on the 40-man roster. My guess is the 10-day IL currently that we see with Peraza, he's going to unfortunately go to 60-day. And that'll be the move that they make to free up that spot. But what are your thoughts on Jake Cousins, man?
Well, first of all, this is the most classic Matt Blake signing you've ever seen. Okay. Now, let's be perfectly clear. Anytime Hal Steinbrenner and more importantly, Brian Cashman pulls the trigger on a move, I guarantee you Matt Blake was in his ear. They said, what do you think about this guy? I want this certain prototype of a pitcher. What are you looking for? And for anyone who watches the Yankees knows Matt Blake's looking for a sinker and he's looking for a wipeout slider. He's looking at spin rate. He's looking at strikeout numbers. We signed Carlos Rodon because he has strikeout numbers. We signed Garrett Cole because he can strike guys out. We signed Marcus Stroman because he's a sinker, slider, cutter guy. Okay. Let's be very clear about who people are saying, I'm just not feeling confident in right now. And it's Clay Holmes. Okay. That's Jake. Clay Holmes is a guy that we're not feeling confident about, but he's a sinker slider guy that Pittsburgh essentially gave up on. But the New York Yankees said, well, that spin rate's going to play. And it actually was a phenomenal trade from Brian Cashman. This is another move. And for anyone who watches tape, Pitching Ninja actually posted some amazing tape on him earlier today. His arm slot is disgusting. It's Ian Hamilton gross. Okay. And that's what we want.
I'm getting hyped
guys.
already.
I know. We want guys who make it uncomfortable. You don't need to have the best arms. You need to have guys who are serviceable, who understand the program, who understand how they're attacking hitters. And I can tell you right now, the way Jake Cousins pitches. Now, obviously, I haven't watched a ton of him, but these last few, I'd say 12 hours, I've watched a ton of film on him. And the way he attacks is very similar to the way you saw Adam Ottavino. It's a lot of deception. And the Yankees are accustomed to using pitchers like that. If this is a gem for the Yankees, don't be shocked for that to happen. And if it's not, we traded away Cash. Who here on YouTube gives a rippity-doo that Hal Steinbrenner sent Cash for this guy?
You mean
this
you don't like cash considerations? You ever see that meme? That's so funny.
Yeah.
He's on the Baltimore Orioles. You ever see that?
He is. And I just can't see how this is anything but a positive. Based on looking at the numbers, this is a guy who in his career has thrown 52 2/3 innings, has struck out 72 guys. Okay.
I don't know why he's available.
I don't either. That from a team like the Chicago White Sox, who The biggest thing happening for the Chicago White Sox, no offense, guys. No offense, White Sox David Barstool. My bad, man. I know he's going to probably send me a text about this. I promise you, these organizations giving up guys who are power arms, throwing sidearm with good sinkers and good sliders, who are striking guys out with a career ERA of 3.08. I know ERA is not everything, but you can't look at your 2023 numbers and say, wow, he got hit around a little bit in his 9 1/3 innings of work and just give up on him. What are you doing? So now we're Yankees fans. We're sitting here watching YouTube shows and about our latest pickup. And this is our new toy who we're probably going to use better than the Chicago White Sox ever wanted to use this guy. So me and Jake, and we got another Jake here, are excited about this pickup. And he's only 29, plenty of control. I think this is going to be good. I like it.
It's one of those things about baseball. Because I mean, if you don't know me by now, I also cover the NFL, and it's like bullpen arms are like kind of considered, for the casual audience member, they would probably equate that to special teamers in football. And the thing is, nothing against special team at all, but bullpen guys can be the reason you win and lose games. Special teams can, but not like a collective, like it's a collective unit, not like one player. And that's the thing, like you get excited when you really delve into what a bullpen is and the way the Yankees deploy it, which I think is the right way, the correct way to use a bullpen in 2024, albeit there are times they go a little bit too crazy using 5-6 guys when they don't need to. But with the frequency of how often they use the bullpen, I love this move. And I think we're going to see Jake Cousins a lot. And keep in mind, Brubaker is dealing with Tommy John rehab. So he is not going to be ready right away. That was that move they made. And everyone's like, why did they trade for this guy with Tommy John? Well, like this move right here helps because Brubaker can just do his thing and rehab from Tommy John, and they can evaluate whether or not he makes sense to, be added to the bullpen. But I think you look at Cousins, you see 16.3% of the time he uses that four-seam fastball, so he can still use it. 29.2 that sinker. So obviously Matt Blake, it's a wet dream for him.
Well, that's going to change. Let's be clear about that one thing.
But it's not going to
be 29% over here.
The slider for 54.5%, and you watch him. And you mentioned it, pitching ninja. He's got to be the go-to, right? As soon as you see a pitcher get traded or something, you're like, all right, let's just Google it or look it up on Twitter and let's see if pitching ninja has any sort of videos on him. And dude, he had like 5, and this guy's barely been in the MLB, and he has like 5 videos, and he's like, oh, well, here's a disgusting sweeping slider here. And you look at the arm angle and everything. He's got a 3.08 ERA, 31.4 K rate, and he's got a 50.4 ground ball percentage. So
we like that.
We do like that. And so I think, really he's the perfect guy for Matt Blake. The Yankees make a move, get a fresh arm. And again, the way they use the bullpen, this isn't just a guy. Like, this is a guy that could be a serious weapon. Like, I think he's going to be definitely going to be a part of that postseason run. Like, I think he's going to be a big time arm that you can bring in the 7th or 8th inning. And what we talked about before this game, which again, we have not covered yet, if you're watching this before it, but before the 4-0, start, we talked about certain guys that were not available today for Aaron Boone, or so we thought. One of them ended up surprisingly pitching that we were not too happy about. We'll talk about in the other video. And that was, of course, the closer who you brought up, Clay Holmes. Because you use the bullpen the way you do, it's not just, hey, this guy would be nice. It's that it's a need. So this is actually a need for the Yankees. And it's pretty cool that Brian Cashman immediately registered that this was going to be a need. You have Ian Hamilton, you have Clay Holmes. When Clay Holmes is on, I mean, we talked about it, he's dominant. Ian Hamilton's the best setup man, for the job anyway. Loaizaga struggled a little bit today, but Loaizaga still has the goods, right? You have Clayton Beeter doing whatever he's doing in minor league. They feel really good about him long term. Caleb Ferguson looked good today. Nick Birdie, they're very excited about, had a great spring training. So you talk about all these different, opportunities and these options. And now you add a guy like Cousins, and this almost alleviates the pain of going out and getting a Scott Efros who gets absolutely obliterated, and then he gets injured, and we haven't seen him in 2 years, and people probably forgot he was on the roster. I think just going out and making these moves shows you the Yankees have a plan of attack. They want to have a dominant bullpen. Nothing has changed. They believe in Matt Blake's ability to get the most out of guys. But with going out and getting Jake Cousins, this isn't Clay Holmes, because Clay Holmes was not a good pitcher before he went to the Yankees. He was somebody that showed bits and pieces. His production was non-existent. This guy's had production. We're talking about the strikeout numbers. You bring him in, he's going to strike out the side at least once this year. He'll strike out the side in order. He is really talented, and I'm excited because, again, the years of control, 29 years old, and just the frequency of how they use, relievers, 38.7% whiff rate.
Yeah, and Jake, can I say this one thing? This is the last thing I'm going to say about Jake Cousins, and you can bring it home. One thing I really like about this move, we don't really know how the Yankees want to go about their business in terms of how they're allocating innings. So this is what I mean by that. Last year and plenty years before that, the Yankees have built Super Bowl pins where we've seen a three-headed attack where the 7th, 8th, and 9th are just completely dominated. And the Yankees deployed those same 3 guys every day the whole year, and we won 105, 108, right? And we're sitting here patting ourselves on the back. We get to the postseason and we're wiped. We're tired, okay? But if you actually watch the Yankees, because I know we're all excited about the 4-0 start. I'm excited. Jake's excited. But when you look at the decisions that Boone's making in the locker room and in the dugout, he's saying, I've got to squeeze that extra 2 outs or 3 outs from my starter. They did that with Marcus Stroman, okay? Marcus Stroman could have came out of that game early. About 3 outs sooner, he could have came out, and they didn't. Why? Because they wanted to actually make human decisions and say, I think we can squeeze more out of this guy. And remember, at the beginning of the season, I said, I would like to shore up this bullpen, which it seems like they're trying to do with this move. But at the same time, I want to place an emphasis on innings from our starters. And I think the Yankees are doing a nice little hybrid of both. And that's going to help them down the road. I think being able to squeeze an extra couple outs out of Clark Schmidt today was an amazing move because it set up our bullpen to be on time, not essentially deploying them as a safety net all year. Exactly. So I thought it was a really good decision from Boone. Even though we didn't agree with Clay Holmes' utilization at the end of the game, I thought he should have basically essentially had the night off. But having said that, I think the Yankees are pulling the correct strings and they're taking the correct chances. And I hope this will work.
Yeah, I hope it works too. I think it's going to. And I like the vision here. What we're not going to do on this channel is throw fluff your way and BS things. We're going to come with, the straight hard facts. And I mean, nothing we said was really opinion based, right? We just used facts. We explained this is how often you're going to see the slider, normally before you came to the Yankees, with Jake Cousins, the sinker, the four seam, the pitches that he uses, the different pitchers that they've acquired since November. We really just broke it down. And I mean, there are going to be moments on this channel where we disagree with a Yankees move. I'm sure it's going to come. I'm sure down the pipeline, they'll choose to trade for a bat who is hitting 170 and we'll be like, why do they do that? We're not just going to agree on everything. This is one of those moves, just like Birdie, that we agree on. So looking forward to seeing Jake Cousins debut. Sorry, Gary, he's going to be wearing an ugly number because I know you don't like those numbers. It's going to be like
you think it's going to be uglier than 72?
He's probably going to be wearing like 81.
That's the 81's for Randy Moss and Randy Moss only.
84.
It's just not right. Well, he was 84 and 81.
Yeah, so. I know.
But I mean, yeah, his number is going to be atrocious. Yeah, final guess on his number, I'm going to go 85. 85's already taken, isn't it?
Who knows, man? If they're in the 80s, I don't know. I just know that they're not in Monument Park, so we're good.
That's true.
The only
he never
thing.
will be.
Yeah, so I'm going to say he probably wears 81. But I'm also going to say that he ends up being a really key piece down the stretch. And it's just a reminder that even though the big name is nice and everything at the deadline, we all fall in love with it. Every year, we'll probably be singing the praises of going after and getting one of them. If you can find a guy like Jake Cousins, pick up where other teams left off and whether they failed in his development or not, figure it out. And if you can turn him into one of those guys, then guess what? At some point, they're going to be teams looking at him like he's a big name. And it's like, hey, is he available at the trade deadline? And Cashman's going to be like, nope. And that's how that works. That's right. How these guys find their guys. So I'm excited. I think this is probably far from the last trade that they'll make. Seems like Cashman is very busy. He just...
Oh, yeah. This is a complimentary piece and a risk-free move. And it doesn't, again, failing to pick up the sexy guy early in the season just awards you the flexibility to do it later. And if we don't have to, then we don't have to give up any assets. But if the Yankees are one move away, we'll know it at the deadline. We'll all be able to see if we're short or if we're where we're supposed to be. The Yankees, and we'll ask them to make the necessary moves because as of now, the Yankees look really good. The bats are coming alive. We're hitting late. We're timely. Our approach makes sense. We're trying to get innings out of our starters the way Boone's just seemingly never done. And we're acquiring guys that seem a part of the build, something that we've seen work here before. So long story short, it's just this is the type of build that Matt Blake works well with. These are the type of tools that he enjoys and he deploys and they work. So far, I have no reason to believe this won't work.
I'm with you. Well, with that said, Jake Cousins is a Yankee. If you didn't know who he was, well, hopefully you do now. Be sure to follow Gary at Gary Sheffield Jr. on all social media. You can follow Yankees Unloaded at Yankees Unloaded on all social media. And you can follow me at JK Bogan on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'm Jake Ellenbogen.
And I'm Gary Sheffield Jr. And like this video.